trick me out of my laptop, you'll give me your car. 13 years ago I was in my late teens, living on my own, and really struggling to live financially. One of the few possessions I had was an old laptop. My laptop had stopped working properly, and while I'm fairly proficient in using a computer, I had no idea about fixing them. I did a bit of searching on the internet, but couldn't get it working, so I asked my stepdad to take a look. He has a quick look, and says it's fucked, but he'll take it off my hands if I don't want it, so I said sure. If it's broken then it's no good to me. 10 minutes later I walk in the room, and he's using it. I asked if he fixed it, and he says yeah, thanks for the laptop. I was obviously pissed. My mum says she wasn't getting involved, and his only response was that he did a quick internet search to find the fix. And I could have done the same. I was broke, and he took one of my only possessions even though he had a PC and a laptop already. A few months later I was visiting my mum and stepdad when I had an idea. While I'm useless with computers, I'm very competent with mechanics, specifically Audis, and my stepdad had a 2001 Audi A3. Before coming in the house I went under his car, and unplugged the oil level sensor, and a VAC line for the turbo. Later on that day he went to go to the shop, or something. When he started the car it threw up oil warning lights on the dash, and wouldn't boost, so he turned it off, and had a look of concern on his face. I went out to ask him what's up, and he said that something's gone majorly wrong. He says something along the lines of catastrophic turbo failure, or engine failure. He's already spent quite a bit on repairs, and didn't want to spend any more money on it, so spoke to my mum about just cutting his losses, and scrapping it. I asked how much it's worth at the scrap yard, and he says £100. So I ever so graciously offer £120 to take it off his hands to maybe part it out, which he accepts. He signed over the logbook, title, and wrote me a receipt of purchase, and handed the keys over. I walked outside, lifted the bonnet, pretended to look at my phone for a minute, went under the car, and plugged the VAC line and oil sensor back in, fired it straight up, and drove around the block. When I got back I gave him the thumbs up, and said it's all fine now. His mouth was wide open, and he was mega pissed. And my reply was you could have found the solution too with a quick internet search. He tried arguing that it wasn't fair, and if it's working then I can't just take his car. But I just said he didn't have a problem tricking me out of my laptop, and that he's already signed the car over to me, so tough luck. My mum kinda laughed, and said she's not getting involved, and that it was his own fault. I still have the car to this day, and it's practically in showroom condition, and runs sweet. Here's the old girl in all her shiny glory. Edit. Thank you for all the awards people have gilded me with. I didn't know any of these existed beyond gold and silver. Edit 2, guys and gals. It's not that unbelievable. I tricked someone into thinking their car was broken so I could have it. Yes, it's 100% true. Yes, I know I'm an asshole, and I don't deny that it was a douche move, but I thought people might get a kick out of a bit of revenge.
Ex cheated on me, and falsely accused me of rape, so I exposed her to everyone she knew. In late May 2016, I asked my crush, Kate, of 3 years out on a coffee date. 3 dates later, we made things official. For the next 7 months, our relationship felt too good to be true. We clicked on so many interests, so we hardly ever disagreed on anything. We were very open with each other, which led to an incredible sex life. We both had good jobs, so we had money to spoil one another. and our families were both enthusiastic about our relationship. In January 2017, I was accepted into my country's Armed Forces Reserve program as a combat engineer. I underwent basic training from February to late April, and was up until then the hardest thing I had ever done. There were several times I thought I wouldn't graduate, and the only thing that kept me going was Kate's words of encouragement over texts and calls. She was there when I received my BTC certificate, and never let me forget how proud she was of me. As part of my job in the reserves, I would have to go away in the summer for advanced training. Between early June to late August, Kate fully supported me going 400 kilometers away to the training center, and spending almost our entire summer break on work to further my military career. The summer was brutal on me. I was a social outcast from every clique that formed on our course, and was the butt of several jokes. My self-esteem plummeted through the floor. But Kate's belief in me was what made me prevail. I passed as 5th best on course, and I owed it all to her. The decline. Things between us started to sour after returning home. According to her, I wasn't as spontaneous and outgoing as before I went away. I was dismissive, took small jabs and jokes as personal insults, and would rather stay in, watch movies, and have sex instead of going out. Unbeknownst to both of us, I had developed some nasty social anxiety due to the events of the summer, and it started affecting our relationship. Nearing our 2-year anniversary in 2018, we got into a heated argument over a small misunderstanding, and subsequently broke up. I was incredibly distraught, before she texted me 3 days later, and said she wanted to try and fix things. I didn't see her for 3 weeks, but we kept in touch every day, slowly mending things. When we officially got back together, nothing felt the same. Every time I talked with her, it was as if I was walking on eggshells, and it only worsened my anxiety, which in turn hurt our already damaged relationship. Then things finally came to a head at the end of July. The hurt. While in school, Kate had met a dude named John. She saw in John what she used to see in me, and they quickly became very close friends. He consoled her through our breakup, and every little time I messed up afterwards. For the record, I knew of John, but never thought Kate would ever do anything with him. One night after work, we had planned for me to stay the night at Kate's place. I arrived to see the two of them chilling on the living room couch. Kate said that John had dropped by for a spontaneous visit, and he was just leaving. After John left, she became cold and distant. I slowly accepted that our relationship was dead, and asked her how things were between us. She echoed my thoughts, and we agreed to break up the next day. She said I could stay the night one last time, seeing how it was late, and she was still worryful of me. From there on until she fell asleep, Kate became uncharacteristically glued to and protective of her phone. In the past, she wouldn't care if I had glanced over to catch her and her friends texting about whatever, but now she did her best to hide the screen from me. I asked her about it, and she said it was private stuff, which only raised more questions. After she fell asleep, curiosity got the better of me. I unlocked her phone. I knew her passcode, and found hundreds of messages between her and John. Messages about how she was now single, how exciting it was that they could now be a couple in public, and laughing at me about every little thing I did. I quietly sobbed as I read through each hurtful text. My crying wasn't as quiet as I thought. Kate stirred, and once she realized what I was doing, she threw a fit. I couldn't find the anger or words to combat her, so I just grabbed my stuff and left, with Kate shouting and yelling at me the whole time. It was late in the morning when I got home. I just broke down and ugly cried all night. I called in sick from work the next day and spent it sulking in my bed. The day after, I got several angry texts from Kate's friends and family, in a bid to save her image and denounce anything I might say about her. She told anyone she knew that I had forced myself upon her that night, in one last attempt to get some before we broke up, and left after the deed was done, though what I had done was scarring. She refused to press charges because she didn't want to make a circus of her life in court, and was the bigger person by doing so. I spent the next few months in fear that her allegation would have me discharged from the army, and my image forever tarnished. But nothing ever happened. The revenge. 5 months afterwards, Kate emailed me. After pleasantries, she basically apologized for the whole thing, and actually admitted to faking it, though she would never publicly admit it to save her own reputation. My image be damned. This angered me, but I kept cool. I screenshot the texts and continued talking with her. Over the next 3 months, she entered into a cycle of events as follows. Complain about a current life situation, usually about John screwing up in their relationship in one way or another, and asking for advice, lamenting our relationship, how I never screwed up like John did, how she wished we could go back to the way things were, blah blah blah. Ignoring me because John finally pulled his head out of his ass, did some huge romantic gesture, and saved their relationship, going on a smear campaign on social media about our relationship, employing her friends for help, knowing in full that I would see it all, and trying to bait me into an argument. It would work. She would try to turn the argument around and paint me as the bad guy, and then block me for about a month, before repeating the cycle. This happened 3 times like clockwork, and always left me burnt out and broken. But a part of me wanted it to happen. Each time it did. I took screenshots of every damning thing she said. I had a full SD card of everything I compiled before I finally decided it was time. Making several picture copies of the worst text messages I caught. I bought several manila envelopes. I mailed them to everyone I thought would matter to Kate. Her parents, grandparents, extended family she was super close with, best friends, work boss, co-workers, teachers, whoever I could find a mailing address for. I made sure that anyone getting the envelope would know that the texts were between me and Kate, and sent them off. Within 3 weeks, I got results. Some of the people who messaged me to shame and insult me before now apologized for their words. My favorite was from her own parents, who went on to say that they were deeply sorry about their daughter's behavior, how they raised her to be better than how she acted, and to please not pursue any legal actions. The thought had crossed my mind, but I didn't have the money nor the mental fortitude to fight a legal battle. I told them I'd think about it, and that they'd be the first to know besides Kate if I did. Kate sent me some texts as well, with things like, "How could you betray my trust like that?" or "You ruined my life, you bastard." I didn't reply. I just read every angry text that flew in with a satisfied grin, and then blocked her when they stopped. I never fully found out how badly her life was affected by my revenge, but I do know that she dropped out of school and no longer has a job. I hope John was worth it. TLDR. Girlfriend cheated on me and falsely accused me of rape to cover it up. I endure her shit for a year, gathering evidence against her via text messages, and socially nuked her life. Edit. Thank you all so much for the kind words of support. A lot of people have been worrying about my mental state, so I thought I'd relieve those worries. I've been seeing a therapist for 3 months now, and have made significant progress. I can't begin to explain how much I owe her for helping me regain some semblance of normalcy in my life.
Like and subscribe for more awesome videos.